In my opinion, if someone wants to get better at the craft of tattooing, then a big part of that learning should be drawing and painting as much as possible. I feel like there comes a point in everyone's career where drawing and designing a tattoo is the bottleneck. What I mean by this is that their tattoos are only as good as their ability to draw and paint, and the beauty of painting is that it gives us the opportunity to experiment and get better at our craft. So in this video today, I'm going to show you how I work on improving my skills as a tattooer and walk you through painting a koi from start to finish, explaining how I paint like a Japanese tattoo. Before I get into it, I'm first going to explain quickly what supplies I'll be using for this painting today. As always, I like to keep things simple and as straightforward as possible. Pretty much everything I'll use today is the same as every single painting I do, with some slight variations here and there. And if you're interested and you want to check it out, I'll leave links to everything I use in this video today in the description below. So first of all, I want to talk about the material I'll be painting on. I know art supplies can be expensive, but quality really does matter and makes a huge difference to the final result. Today I'll be using washi, which is a traditional handmade Japanese paper made from the inner bark of plants. This beautiful paper has been used for over 1300 years for calligraphy, printmaking, origami and more. But I like it because it's very durable, lightweight, and once the painting's finished has an authentic look to it, and it kind of feels a bit more rough around the edges. I do love working with Arches watercolour paper, but quite often the painting can feel quite graphic and too clean. One important thing to note about washi is that it either comes unsized, semi-sized or sized. So if you do decide to work with this paper, and I do highly recommend that you give it a go, make sure you order sized paper. It will give you a more controlled, smooth surface to work with. And if you don't want to use washi, Arches watercolour paper is a perfect alternative. Brushes are very personal, and controversially this is where I'm not always looking for the absolute best quality, but looking for what works best for me. For years I've been lining with these super cheap watercolour brush pens. The nylon bristles are easy to work with and create a nice brushstroke effect. For background and larger areas of filling in, I use the Master Touch Aquamarine size 12 round. And for details in smaller areas, I use these super cheap Royal Soft Grip brushes. For paint, I use a mix of acrylic and watercolour. And when it comes to pigments, quality really does matter. For acrylics I use FWs, and watercolours I use a mix of tube paints by Old Holland and Horodam. I prefer tubes because they seem to have a higher pigment content, giving my colours a flatter, more vivid, intense finish. So I like to prepare my drawing first on an iPad. This gives me the opportunity to play around with composition and get the drawing exactly how I want it beforehand. I find it saves time, but if you don't use an iPad, you can sketch out your drawing straight onto the paper. Rather than tracing the drawing with a pencil, I'll go straight in and outline everything with FW acrylic black and a watercolour brush pen. To avoid lines bleeding later on when you meet them with colour or grey wash, when doing the outlines it's important to use a water resistant ink. Doing lines with a brush can feel intimidating at first, but doesn't take too long to get used to, and the varied line size gives a more traditional feel to the painting. Once the outlines are down, same as any large-scale Japanese tattoo, I do the background first. Like the outlines, I use FW acrylic black. The FWs dry very solid and flat and allow me to get very smooth greys, but a great alternative is PH Martin's Black Star Indian ink. To get a consistent flat grey that's not patchy and has different tones where I don't want them, I pre-mix the grey wash in a small ink dish. Black is very concentrated, so I start with a few drops and add some water, and test on an off-cutter paper and let it dry for a few minutes. If it's too light, I'll add another drop of black or two, or if too dark, add some more water and test again. Once I've got a tone of grey I like, I start by doing the waves. The key to get nice flat greys is by loading up the brush with paint. For this I use a round 12 and apply confidently with nice even strokes. Not rushing, but going through the area as quickly as I can. The correct brush is important for this. Using something with a fine tip will result in inconsistency in the greys, and it's hard to apply enough paint to the paper with each stroke and will result in overworking the area. The only time I'll use a small brush is when I have to get into the tighter sections of the wave. The next step is the large areas of black and wind bars. Again, being generous with the paint, this section is a little less precise. I like to make my backgrounds heavy black, giving a very traditional look, but I do recommend experimenting, adding more wind bars if you want to. This really is a personal preference and depends on the style that you're going for. To finish the edge of a wind bar, my technique is simple. I first wet the edge I want grey slightly with water. I then drag straight black evenly into that area. Once the area dries, the slight dilution is enough to soften the edges. Once the background is in, the whole piece starts to take shape and come alive. Now we can focus on the koi and the cherry blossoms. Sticking with the FW black, I'm going to make the koi black and grey with some yellow in the fins and dorsal. First off, I go through the fins and dorsals with some grey wash that I use for the waves. Remember, the same as heel black and grey in the skin is a lot lighter than when you initially put it in. The same is true for grey wash on washi paper. Give it 5 minutes and it will dry lighter. I then quickly go through with a pencil, marking where I want each scale to be completely black and the others gradually having less black and more grey. You don't have to do it this way, but it's easier to have a pencil line to follow so the scale pattern is more uniformed. Lastly, before I start adding some colour, I do the head. As you can see with the rest of my painting, and all the other paintings I do in this style, I leave some negative space around the edges never meeting the line. This helps every element of the painting stand out and be readable. If I didn't, the black areas of the foreground would meet the black areas of the background and completely lose its impact and ruin the painting. Once all the black and greys are in, it's now time to add some colour. This is where colour selection is very important and shouldn't be overlooked. If you're new to painting, it's worth taking the time and looking at other artists to see how they use colours. It's never random just because they like the look of a colour, and nearly every time it's always a few colours that complement each other. This is where, in my opinion, less is always more and has a better impact visually. For this painting, I'll be using 3 colours: FW Indian Yellow, Old Holland Peppermint Light Green, and Horodam Cadmium Light Red. Now I'm going to go through and add yellow to the rays of the koi and the centre of the cherry blossoms. For the blossoms, you can do these in a few different colours, but more times than not I like to do them red, for no other reason than I prefer red blossoms, but pink works well too. And last but not least, the green and the leaves. Again, there are different tones of green that work well, but as there is a lot of dark tones in this painting, I like a lighter green to make the blossoms really stand out. So that's it for today. Hopefully I've covered everything in a way that's easy to understand. I guess if I could add anything of value to this video, it would be keep drawing and painting as much as you possibly can and never stop. I've been painting and drawing for nearly 20 years daily. Sometimes it feels like I don't know anything, but this is part of the excitement and the drive to keep going. If you have any questions that I didn't answer today, let me know in the comments below. And if you got some value from this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.